Bibi Faudier, it has been a while since I have spoken to you all because nothing has really, I mean, there's been a lot going on, a lot of good topics to have a discussion about, but nothing I wanted to talk about, nothing I felt you needed to see me for, that I needed to weigh in on. But now something has come to my attention. I'm on a dating app, and a brother who seemed to be African centered like I am was asking me a series of questions, and some really good, intense the ones you need to get out of the way, particularly at my age. But one of the ones he asked me was my stance on polygamy. And this just keeps coming up. It keeps coming up. I had a conversation, well, I had a text versation and voice message versation with a brother just yesterday where I was leaving my feedback on it, and it just keeps coming up. So let me go ahead and say it here once and for all. Can polygamy work? Is polygamy the answer to the black crisis, the black relationship crisis, the crisis of black single mothers? I'm divorced. I'm a single mother. There are plenty of single mothers. There are single fathers, but there are lots of single mothers, and there are single black women. So is polygamy the solution? Can polygamy work in this time? My answer, the short answer is no. Do I have an issue with polygamy? No. If someone wants to practice it and that's what they want to do, then by all means they should. I'm of the understanding that people are as individual as fingertips, and so are relationships. So are their relationship requirements going to be. There's not going to be a one size fits all. So one thing I don't do, and it irks me to my core when other people do, is speak for everyone. I don't do that. I'm not for polygamy, but I'm also not against, I'm not for it for me, but I'm not against it per se, because I understand different strokes for different folks. What I have a problem with is presenting it as the solution to our plight. What I have a problem with is presenting it as something we should be doing as African people, because we can't want to adopt some parts of our culture and not adopt other parts of it. We can't cherry pick, so to speak. Let me start with that one right there. Let me tell you why that's wrong, and we absolutely can cherry pick. We have to, because some of our people's practices are antiquated. Some of them served our people in that time, but cannot be applied today because things change. For example, you can't present 20 cows to somebody here in the United States for their daughter's hand, because that's not practical. It's a practice, it's an African practice, and it's still expected and practiced in some places, in some villages today. But you can't do that in Boston. That doesn't work. Do you understand? So if you can understand that, you should be able to understand that the necessity of polygamy for those times, or even for today's times, and what might be going on in certain African villages or African towns, is not what is happening over here. You can't apply it. It's not practical here. It's not feasible. It's not plausible. It's not pragmatic. You cannot apply it here. So let's not act as though we can apply our ancient customs and traditions across the board. We can't. We have to use the ones that we can and respect the ones that we can't. And that's exactly what I do. So that's that on that one. I don't see how there is a rebuttal to that. I just don't. If you're honest, if you're dishonest and emotional, and you just want to stand in it for the sake of standing in it, then I can see how you could disagree with that. I'm coming at it from an honest and logical standpoint. I'm trying to see where things fit today, and some things just do not. And that's how evolution works. That's how you grow. That's how progress works. You move in other directions as are suitable for the times. So having said that, I kind of want to rest that one there. The other one is the economic standpoint. In Africa, you took on as many wives as you could take care of. The wives contributed, of course. I don't mean that they all stayed at home getting fat, eating bonbons on the couch. That's not what I'm saying. They contributed. But a man was expected and is expected to take care of his wives. He's not looking for them to carry the household because, and let's bring that over here to the United States. Over there, manual labor is needed. Over here, whatever the labor it is that you do, you just need to bring in an income. It's not the same. It's not the same. Women need that over there. Here, we don't need that. And if we did need that, we could do something like be single mothers in a commune and help each other out that way. But we're not really communal. And to try to force us to be, as we've been conditioned, now this is a conditioning of ours. Women over there are not conditioned this way. We are. We're not communal by nature because of hundreds of years of conditioning. Maybe we would have been. I can't dispute that. I don't know. I know they certainly are in certain parts of West Africa, and they still have villages. A son who is the firstborn can be expected to take care of the whole village, and he will take that responsibility seriously and make sure everything is done. Here we don't have that. We don't have that sense of responsibility to each other. We have a very independent mindset. Even when it's family centered, it's centered around your specific family. We don't live like that. So to try to force that and say this is the answer, that's crazy. And furthermore, if you need the women to contribute financially, and that's your idea to make this work, you need the women to you're saying, oh, it's great because it's financially, it's financially, it'll ease the burden on everybody. If you need the women to do that, then why do they need you? Couldn't they just be roommates and do that? Or couldn't a third and fourth, and like I said, and they just have a single mom household? What do you bring besides penis? What do you bring? What do you bring? And if you're talking from an economical standpoint, polyandry would make much more sense than polygamy, and I'm not advocating for polyandry. I'm speaking logically, honestly, and in terms of pragmatism. Polyandry would make much more sense. Fewer children, fewer mouths to feed. Now you get two brothers who are probably skilled in some sort of labor. They can do the things around the home or whatever have you. The sister can work. That would make more financial sense. I know men are going to be like, absolutely not. That's just a train. I'm not even talking about it seriously. Those who practice it, good on them, whatever, because I'm not advocating for it. I'm not advocating against it. I'm saying if we're talking these terms that you're claiming, if you're talking financial, if you're talking building, then that would be the way to do that, I would think, if we're being honest. The other thing, and the most important one for me, is back to that conditioning. We live in a time where we're still reeling and still suffering the damages from gangster rap and NWA and what they did. We're still suffering from that. It's all over the place. It's all up in the music. It's all up in the movies. It's in the love songs. And now it has gotten so bad that the tables are turned and you have the women talking crazy about the brothers now. It's horrible on both sides. I don't take sides. It is what it is. It's terrible. And I can't even say we're coming off of that climate because we're in that climate. That's the climate that we're in. And every time, so women have been really, really emotionally battered. Black women have been really emotionally battered. to a pulp. And that's where this feminism in this that's where this anger is coming from. I don't subscribe to this anger. I don't subscribe to feminism at all. I do not feel it has anything to do with me. However, I know where it came from. They're misguided though. Their rage is righteous, but it's misdirected, and it's not channeled, and it's just not channeled right, and they're not using the right conduit. They're being used, and they don't understand, because feminism has nothing to do with black women. And there's, it's historically, it's in the history. Anyway, that's me going off on a tangent. I just want to be clear that I'm not a feminist, because people will try to go ahead and throw me in that box the minute you don't agree with them. Brothers, especially those, they'll just immediately do that. Anyway, and certain sisters as well. Every time you so dealing with that conditioning, and again, we're not coming off of it, we still live in it. All of us, men have, grown men in their 50s still casually refer to black women as bitches. Even black women refer to themselves as bitches. Yeah, it's crazy when you really think of it. Like, it's madness, but it's normalized. But this is where we are. We're in a climate where casual use of one of the nastiest words in the English language is something that we do, and proudly too. I don't play them games, but most people do. Anyway, dealing with that in our psyche, whether it's in the back of our minds or in the forefront. There are a lot of women who claim that they're okay in this, that, and the third, but they're not. There's no way to be from that kind of psychological damage where, because it impacts you every time you hear it. And then you start absorbing it, and then you start to sing it too. And because you normalized it, now you claim it and whatever, but there's no way to really do that. There's no way. Anyway, every time you tell a black woman that you require polygamy, you're essentially telling her that she's not enough. She's not good enough for you, whether she can't satisfy you sexually or whatever. Even the ones who claim, and I don't speak for everybody, there are some anomalies. Some people are genuinely wired differently, but most people are not, or else they wouldn't be wired differently. They would just be wired like everybody else. A lot of women, some women, I don't even know what term to use. I just want to make it clear I'm not speaking on all women. There are people who are wired differently. But for the most part, women are suffering from that. Even the ones who claim that they're not, they're suffering from the psychological damage that comes from hearing these words all the time. Ho, bitch, this, that, Even when they call themselves that, you're suffering from some psychological damage from that. So every time you tell a black woman, that you require polygamy, you're essentially telling her that she's not enough for you. And some women will accept that because they don't feel like they're enough. They won't say that, but that's what's going on, and that's why they'll accept that. They will not tell you that. But every time you say that, and I know a lot of them are going to disagree with me, but because that kind of truth is really hard to tell. That kind of, owning up to that kind of hurt or that kind of damage, it's really hard. It's hard for people to be that honest with themselves, never mind to be honest with other people about it. So anyway, polygamy is not the answer. It is not going to solve our problems. It's not the answer to single motherhood. It's not the answer. That's not the answer to that. We can talk about that another time. What I do feel like the answer is, and again, a disclaimer again, I don't speak for everyone. I do not speak for everyone. Understand that. I know that. I never do that. And I hate when other people do it. But that is my assessment on that. Polygamy will not work for us. It is not our answer. It has nothing to do with the solution. It would further demoralize us and put us back even more, because most people are not emotionally mature enough for that. Black women haven't been loved enough collectively, I know there are some who are absolutely loved and they know what it is to feel secure and protected by black men, but there are far too many who do not. And now you're adding another element to it where you don't even understand her emotionally yet, but you want to understand too. And for the ones who say that the brother who I was talking about, I referenced earlier, he had said to me that what did he say? He said a lot of brothers claim that in the marriage, when they get married, things are great sexually and they're sexually yoked, but once the marriage happens, a little down the line, the women stop sleeping with them. They stop being as sexually gratifying to the man. And the brother who was having this conversation with me, his answer to this was get another wife. And I'm like, you see, you're not he's not, no disrespect to this good brother, love him to pieces, but he's not emotionally equipped enough to even begin to entertain that. He's not emotionally mature enough to be able to say, how did we get here? Typically when a woman is withholding, something is wrong, something has happened, something has changed. Sometimes it's just outright like it was, it was a gold digging situation. She got what she wanted, and then, that does happen. I would not deny that does happen. But typically, by and large, something has happened where she's not turned on enough, and now it's up to the couple to solve it. She has culpability in it, but he does too, and they never see that. They never say that. It's just she stopped giving me sex, which any logical being is gonna say, just for no, what happened? What happened? Anybody, whether it was her fault or your fault, what happened? Not she just stopped. I was gonna end this anyway, so that's my cue. All right, peace, y'all.